name's Kate Brown. I'm one of the partners at AP Robertson & Co. We've got two offices, one in Grimsby and one in Barton. Sarah's a fellow partner who works predominantly out of the Barton office. In your goodie bags, you should find a copy of our book. Actually, the books you've got have got a slightly newer cover than this one, but the content's the same. So it is what it says on the tin, 57 ways to grow your business. We're not claiming that any of these ideas are particularly revolutionary or new. We're not trying to teach you to suck eggs. But we would encourage you to sort of take some time to focus on your business and think about these ideas. And just sort of reappraise what you do in your business. No planned fire alarm this morning. So if it goes, follow me. I will be sprinting out that door. I'll speak first, followed by Sarah, and then Marika is here from Mush Digital, who are a marketing firm. She's going to give you some ideas on social media, I believe. So just between the swap over between Sarah and Marika, there'll be a chance just to refresh your drinks if anybody wants to. It is quite a small group, so if there's anything anybody wants to say on the way through, please feel free to chip in. A lot of these ideas come to life with real sort of examples. So please stick your hand up or grab one of us at the end. Okay. So our first question, I suppose, is what is business growth and how do we define business growth? And there's lots of different ways we can do that. It could be volume of sales, number of staff, number of customers, number of sites. The list is endless, but as a slightly geeky accountant, I would suggest that you should be looking at net profit, really. And resisting the temptation to be a busy fool. So I'm going to keep revisiting this little model, but these are kind of the most important numbers in your business. So we're starting at the top line with sales, minus cost of sales. So cost of sales are your direct costs. So if you were selling widgets, it would be the cost of your widgets. If you're selling time, it's the cost of your staff. That brings us down to gross profit. Overheads are your fixed costs. Rent of property, telephone bills, that sort of thing, coming down to the all-important net profit, which is the reason we all get up in the morning, I would suggest. If we're in business, obviously if we're in the charitable sector or something like that, it's a slightly different emphasis. Of those figures, there's only three you can influence: sales, cost of sales, and overheads. We're going to revisit sales a bit later on. Overheads are important, and I'd suggest that you should be regularly reviewing those, but there's only so far you can cut your overheads. I think we found in the credit crunch in 2008 that a lot of people looked at their overheads and did find perhaps that their business had got a bit fat. So things like your electricity bills you should be appraising all the time, but there's only so far you can go with those. Right. So, first idea out of the book, if anyone's following it in the book, is idea number 3. Why isn't that coming up on the screen? And that is to do a SWOT analysis of your business. So, probably most of you are familiar with SWOT analysis. So SWOT stands for strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And it's usually done by drawing up a grid of 4 sections. You go through your business and trying to slot something into all 4 of the sections. So I've done a very simple example, something very close to my heart. Somebody who makes cakes. So in this example, it's a lady working from home, just selling cakes to sort of friends and family and things. So I've gone through the 4 squares. So she's got an ability to charge a premium price because it's homemade, high quality product, not mass produced, loyal customer base, and low overhead. She's just operating from home. Weaknesses: there's a limit on the volume she can produce. It's quite a labour-intensive production. Anyone who makes cakes will know actually to make a decent cake it takes hours, and perhaps she struggles to recover all of that cost. A little bit of dependence on the weather. And then opportunity, she's got an opportunity to invest in a production process, to help her grow, selling through other outlets, threats, cheaper alternatives, and reliance on one individual. And she's obviously got food hygiene regulation she's got to comply with. And probably a lot of you in this room suffer from the reliance on one individual. I would suggest to you, once you've reflected on your business and drawn up your SWOT analysis, that you look at the weaknesses and threats and try and find ways to move them across to the left-hand side of the screen.
Just cut and paste them.
So reliance on one individual, obviously she could take on staff. As most of you know, staff bring their own issues though. So it's always a way of trying to move things across. Okay. Right, the next point we're going to cover is idea number 7. And that's developing targets, budgets and forecasts. Now, I know I'm a little bit biased, but I think it is quite important that everybody understands where they're at in their business and the numbers of the business. There's some really amazing software now that will help you do that. You've probably all seen on the telly products like Xero and QuickBooks, where you literally snap a picture of your receipt and it does everything for you. Not quite as simple as that. It does need a little bit of human input, but there is some brilliant products out there. So the first thing you need to do is understand where you're at the moment. What you need to remember that where you're at the moment is historic. You can't influence that, and really you need to be looking forwards, not backwards. So getting your statutory accounts 9 months after the year end when they need filing isn't a lot of help. So really it's looking at how you want to change those numbers and move forward. So this is a bit of an example of how to set goals in your business. So we're starting at the green box of your desired outcomes. That'll be different for everybody. So it might be your desired outcome is in 10 years' time you want to pay your mortgage off, or you want to retire in 15 years' time, or you want to pay your children's university education, or you want to be the biggest plumber in town, or whatever you want. But if you can quantify that and picture it in your head, it helps you to achieve that. And then we move around to strategies. So that's thinking about how we're going to achieve that goal. And then we think about ways to measure moving towards that goal. So people talk about SMART targets that can be measurable, etc., etc. And then hopefully, if we get those results, we've achieved our goal, and then we start it all again with a different goal. So you need short-term targets that are easily achievable, and then longer-term targets that maybe push you a bit more. This is quite important for those of you who've got staff. You need everybody to buy into the concept. They need to feel that the targets you're setting them are achievable. You do need to push your staff, they don't want to be too comfortable. But without their buy-in, to be honest, you need to be going back and rethinking and working through that again. One thing's for sure, if you keep doing the same thing, you're only ever going to get the same results. Or maybe not even the same results, maybe worse, if your competition's moving faster than you are. So, I think all the time, just slowly sort of push your business on if you can. And then once you've got your targets, you can start putting those into numbers, so drafting forecasts. And you can do that on sort of any time period, yearly, monthly, weekly. And then your accounting software comes into play again. So things like Sage and Xero allow you to set budget, and then you can monitor that budget against actual each month. That's really important because as soon as things start going wrong, you can do something to fix it. de-emphasising about accounting systems. And then idea number 8 out of the book is key performance indicators, KPIs. So this is about trying to quantify what you're trying to achieve. So this again will be different for every business. So for an estate agent, they might have a target of selling 20 houses a month. For a newspaper, they might have value of advertising sold per edition, or sales per member of staff. The last point, what you monitor will help you change it. So if you're not looking at something, chances are it'll just drift on. So I've got a client who is incredibly focused. So they've set themselves some really high sales targets, and she gives all of her staff tasks to do. And then in their monthly meetings, she'll bring it up on a PowerPoint like this. And if they've achieved their task, it's in green. And if they haven't achieved their task, it's in red. And that's a very visual way of seeing whether people are hitting those targets. Quite embarrassing if you haven't. Arnie's shaking his head.
I'm colourblind, so it's no problem.
But that, I think, perhaps not always in a good way, but that does motivate people. They don't want to be the person sat in that room with everything red. So it does focus people. Has anybody got any KPIs in their business that they do try and track? They want to admit to? Nothing. What do you track?
Lots.
Lots.
We've got lots of stuff to track.
Yeah. Yeah, it is important. Okay. And then probably one of the most important things for virtually every business is getting your pricing right. So I'm going back to the model I had up earlier. Sales is quantity times price. So there's 2 ways you can influence your sales. You can increase the volume and you can increase the price. In your books, I'm hoping the page numbering hasn't changed. On page 36, there's a little grid. And this tells you the impact. Because we talk a lot to our clients about pricing, don't we? And a lot of people immediately present us with a whole host of reasons why they can't increase their price. In fact, I'd quite like £1 for every time I've been told that there's no way they could put their price up. All of the customers will walk out the door, and that'll be the end of that.
I've seen an example where somebody was told to do that and he reluctantly did, and he put it up by 10%. Someone said you should be doing it every year, you should
Yeah.
have done it for 10 years.
Yeah.
And he started on my customers. He lost about 5%, the rest of them stayed with him with the
Yeah.
extra price, and he
Yeah.
made more money
Yeah.
with the retaining customers he had.
Yeah. So that grid shows if you put up prices by 2%, what percentage of sales you can lose to stand still. So it is really key. Tying into this is making yourself sort of unique. So if you want to increase your price, you need to be able to justify to your customers why you're different from your competition. So this comes back to unique selling points. So something we suffer from in our business is anybody can put black outside their door and say that they're an accountant. The term accountant is not a protected phrase. Chartered accountant is, and the other qualifications are, but there's nothing to stop anyone in this room tomorrow setting up as an accountant. So we have to differentiate ourselves as a practice from those individuals. So we can say, for example, that we're qualified, that we've got lots of staff. It's not sort of one person that if they're on holiday, you've got to wait 2 weeks for them to be answered. We carry professional indemnity insurance. We're regulated by our institute, who cover our files and make sure we're doing everything correctly. So you need to think similarly for your business, why you're different to your competition, and stress that to your customers. So this just reinforces what I've said really. Price is the biggest determinant of growing your business. ultimately, if you get your pricing wrong, this is quite a harsh statement, you can and perhaps will go out of business. And you need to understand your pricing model. So, this little slide shows here, you can either be low price and high volume, or high price and low volume. I would suggest you cannot be low price, low volume. That's never going to work. I would also suggest that for most of us in this room, we need to be on the right hand side of the screen. We need to be high price, low volume. To make low price, high volume work, you need to really be pushing the volume. That's quite hard as an SME. We see people trying to do it with internet sales. You might manage it in that sort of scenario, but for the vast majority of people in this room, you need to be looking at your USPs and trying to head towards high price and preventing yourself from being a busy fool. Some of these slides are a bit repetitive. So that's going back to reinforcing about your USPs. So an example of something that you perhaps do buy on price would be insurance. You go on, compare the market, pick the cheapest insurance provider, because insurance is insurance, seems the same. Those of you that had a claim might have found to your detriment that it's not quite as simple as that when you don't get a courtesy car and your excess is through the roof. So there's not many products that you can't differentiate in some way or another. I'll give you an example of something that where I've had really good service. So if you're quite a keen runner, you can go on the internet and you can buy trainers for 50 quid, perhaps less. But you're running a bit of a punt. You don't know whether they're going to fit, you don't know whether they're going to be comfortable. There's a running shop in Epworth where you can go, you get there, somebody takes you under their wing, brings out a myriad of shoes, you try them all on. He's got a running machine and he looks at your gait. While you're waiting, he gets you a cup of tea and a piece of toast. And you come out of there, and without a shadow of a doubt, you spend £100. So twice what you would have spent on the internet. But he's differentiated himself on service there. So it's definitely worth putting in that extra effort. You might want to think about selling skills if you're into, and that's just to reinforce that people don't buy on prices only. Okay, so how do you set your pricing? So a lot of people look at the cost to them. So that might be if you bought a book and you're selling it on the internet, the price of the book to you, plus the price of the postage, and then add a percentage markup. That's a very common way of pricing. Or perhaps look at what your competitors are pricing and set yourself slightly higher, slightly lower. Or you could look at value pricing. So this is about perception. How much are your customers willing to pay? That nearly always gets you to a higher figure than the other models. So if you're going out for a meal to somewhere like Heston Blumenthal's restaurant, I don't think he sits down and works out the cost of the potatoes that have gone into your meal and adds a percentage. He's doing that in a very different way. So it's just a different way of looking at pricing to give you some different ideas. And lastly, discounts. So you might feel that you're put under pressure by your customers to discount your prices. It's a dangerous path to tread, I would suggest. We would try and encourage you not to give a cash discount if at all possible, but to give value away. So in this example, I've got a soup retailer. He sells his soups for £300. They cost him 120. gross profit of 180. Quite a nice little margin there, if you can get it. Somebody comes in and they want a 10% discount, so they want £30 off their £300 suit, which would mean that you've dropped your margin by £30 and made a gross profit of 150. What would you suggest you did if you could, and this will be different for every business, is that you give them something else instead. So in our example, you could give him a tie which has a value of £30 to him, but has cost you 10. And then you're £20 better off than you would have been if you'd given him a 10% discount. So it's just something to think about. So we might offer to do an additional piece of work for them rather than cutting prices. Anybody got any questions about pricing? Because it is quite key. Has anyone tried to put the prices up? Nobody.
Yeah, we've put our prices a couple of times and going up against them,
Right.
just because we are underpriced.
Okay.
Or we believe we're underpriced. There is no direct competitor, so it's difficult to know whether you're underpriced.
Yeah.
Get that from responses from potential customers more than anything.
Yeah. I mean, there are some industries where they've had to bring in really regular price increases. If you're something that's quite labour intensive, perhaps at the lower end of the labour market, so carers and things, have had quite big hikes in minimum wage every year, so they've had to address that. I was talking to somebody earlier in the week who runs a nursery, and they've had no choice but to put the prices up once a year because all of their staff have had a pay increase. That's it from me, so I'll hand over to Sarah.
That's really interesting. Hopefully we all got some good pointers there we can take away with us. So I'm Sarah, the other partner, the other partner, one of four at AP Upton, and I'm primarily based in the Barton office, although I've spent many years in Grimsby's office. So today I'm just going to move it slightly away from pricing and the more customer side to more about the business side. Kicking off with technology, which as a firm I think it's fair to say we've always embraced technology at AP Robinson. It's been one of our keys to success, I believe, having joined the firm 20 years ago with just literally a room full of sort of 4 people with very simplistic PCs and things like that, where you look at where we are now as a firm, obviously much larger, and along the way we've perhaps jumped in with 2 feet at times with different ideas, and had to adjust and change and maybe assess that they weren't the right decisions to make. But the point is we've not been shy of changing things technology-wise within the firm. Just sort of a simple example would be screens that you use on your PCs. So probably about
15.
I don't know, maybe definitely 10 years ago, Andrew Robinson, the managing partner, came into the office and said, right, okay everybody, make some space on your desk because you're having 3 screens. We all thought, that's crazy, we haven't got room for them, that's just a silly idea. And anyway, he stood firm and said, no, on Monday you will all have 3 screens on your desk. So I suggest you just organise yourselves accordingly. And it went ahead, and for the first week there was lots of grumbling. Tutting, doesn't work, oh it's confusing, I haven't got anywhere for my trays. But literally a month on, nobody would have had those screens removed from their desks, my screens. It was amazing, the difference it made, the efficiency that was added by something so simple. Because we operate lots of software, you could have tax software running on one screen, your CRM, your client relationship management system on another, with all your phone numbers on it to ring clients. So while you're getting that information, you can be looking at the tax return, you can have their accounts on the other screen. So while you're having that conversation, you're not saying to the client, just hold on a moment, I just need to find the separate file. It just allowed for a really fluid sort of way of working. So just a really simple idea that it really worked within our practice, and we've held on to that, and we still operate that throughout the firm now. That's just one example really of many, but it's a nice one to share. So what can technology bring to your business? Well, every business is so different, but essentially it's looking at how it can ultimately make you more profitable. So just looking at the sort of basic profit and loss that Kate used as a template, sales at the top, perhaps is influenced by something like a CRM, a client relationship management system, which can house all your customer details, contact details. It can allow you to send marketing information out to maybe a particular type of customer and omit others. It allows you to, just keep that regular contact, send out mail shots through email and things like that. So if you haven't already got something like that, there's lots of software choices out there now that would enable you to bring that information together into something, a platform that's really usable. Production costs, well, it's really wide, this one, because it really does depend what you do. Whether that be investing in equipment that can replace some manual labour within the business is probably an obvious one. So there's initial investment, perhaps some lending or some funding or grant funding that you need to obtain. But if you can ultimately reduce the cost of delivering that product because it's now created more efficiently, then that would obviously add to the gross profit that you're earning. So it's about thinking and really embracing the idea of how technology can work within your business rather than sort of continuing on with the more labour intensive or cost intensive methods. There's always choices. Things do work well in lots of businesses, and people are sometimes resistant to change and think, well, why change it? It's not broken, it works well, we get the information or the product from A to B, and we see some profit at the end of a month. I'm very busy, I don't really want to change that because it's just disruption. And admittedly, there's always a hump that you have to sort of go over when you change anything within your business. You have to sort of park time to learn that system, to train others, and to bring it in the right way. But we would always believe it's definitely worth exploring and making that commitment so that you do become more efficient and more productive. If you're not doing it, the chances are others are. And I'll just talk shortly about Making Tax Digital and how that's kind of like been the sort of the kick up, if you like, of everyone's doing this now. So if you're not thinking about technology, then you are going to get left behind. So we're as an accountancy firm, we're always very much with our clients when we're not talking about numbers, which we do a lot, but we actually don't do probably as much as people probably think. We're always keen to say, like, what else could you do with your business? How are you operating? Are you sort of are you in a tunnel vision mode of, we're just going to carry on doing this forever because it just works, and we've got these customers that are so loyal and they like what we do, and if we change anything they might not like us. If you share your ideas with them, they probably will like you, and they will think, actually, this is helping me now to think about my business and maybe changing things. I've got IT experts in the room, so I'm not going to get carried away on this section. But essentially, as we've moved through the years, there are now lots and lots of choices with regards to how you set up your internal technology and your networks. Going back years, you've all had, or hopefully haven't still got, but the big machine in the corner that nobody touched because it was the server, or it was the brains of the office, and if it blew up, we were all in big trouble. Those days now are pretty much gone. There are still physical servers for sure, but the choices are much wider. So there's lots of cloud backup solutions now. The network is a lot more complex in terms of how it's put together and how that information moves around your offices and your businesses. So it's always worth exploring that and thinking perhaps I ought to be looking at different ways to secure the information that I'm looking after for the future. And also your physical hardware. Before we just had PCs and laptops, admittedly, but now there's lots of tablet choices. Lots of movable software, movable hardware. That's coming in that people are just making their day-to-day tools. In our meetings, client meetings, we typically use iPads. They offer the ability to make handwritten notes on screen, which can then be saved immediately back to the office. So as I'm sat in a meeting, Kate could literally be watching almost what I'm writing. So it's that instant, and that could be even if I'm sort of in London or Derby making those meeting notes. The fluidity of sort of moving information around is very much there. So hopefully these are sort of things that you've already started to involve yourselves in running the business. But if you haven't, then I would encourage you to just have a look. And obviously we always like to share our ideas about what we're using within our business. There's scanners on there, which is quite a key one. 10 years down the line, we will, as a nation, be delivering a more paperless solution through our businesses. We're not there yet, and there's lots still to be done, but there's some businesses that are paperless, and it all comes from imagery and using the scanners to store information, whether that be invoice information, contracts, that sort of thing. It can just help you to just consolidate the information in one place and remove that need for physical office space. Jupiter IT, by the way, is the chappie, it's Ricky, isn't it? Ricky from Jupiter IT in our audience today, so he could always have a chat with anybody if they were interested in looking at their IT. So it extends quite a long way through the business, all these different ideas. So you've got your accounting software, your document management software. So as I said, the scanning would come in for the document management software. I'll talk about accounting software a little bit later. But pretty much every business, I've just listed a few down here that would absolutely need to have software working well for them so that they can efficiently run their business. So going up into the cloud is a big decision. It's not one that's made lightly, and there's often a little bit of nervousness around that. Mainly people think, well, what if there's just a bug in the system, or if things go wrong. It sometimes happens with our mobile networks where you just don't have no mobile for a day, and we all think we just can't function. Well, we don't admit to not being able to function, but I think a lot of us do feel like we've got no legs. And yeah, you think, well, if my business was in the cloud and something went wrong, then I can't afford to stay still for 2-3 days while that gets resolved. I agree, it's a concern, but at the same time, I don't think there's never been a perfect system. It could be that that machine in the corner that everyone worships in the morning, because they don't want it to blow up, it could blow up, and you'd literally then be without that database for perhaps forever, if in some cases. So I think it's got to be thought about relatively to everything else that we're doing day to day, so online banking, accounting, emails, it's all up there, and we are using it more than we perhaps realise. It's just taking that final step to put our actual business information in the cloud and have it stored there. It's perhaps one that just needs a little bit of extra thought and convincing. If you are looking to go to other software solutions, sometimes it's a good idea to look at your current contract relationships with suppliers, just to check that you're not sort of putting yourself in a position where you could be penalised for switching perhaps earlier than they wanted you to. So leading on from this really, it's just backup and maintenance, so ensuring that you've got an excellent backup system, because you don't want to lose all that hard work, all that client information that you've built up. It goes without saying it's got to be absolutely secure. Disaster recovery as well. who do you get to do all this? Where do you go? There's so many solutions out there. Friend in the poor probably would be one I would avoid. It's not often good for friendships when things go wrong. I think it works to a degree. I accept when a small business is setting up, they've obviously got to look at overheads and got to keep their costs down. But I think as soon as you start gaining some momentum, you've got a real reliance. It's got to be cared for properly, and you need that ability to be able to reach out to somebody, to your contracted firm, and get an instant response. I'm busy at the weekend, I'll come next week. It's probably not going to work because you're going to have that frustration of, I really need it sorted. It's so important to me now, day to day, to have that working well. If you employ somebody, it is an overhead, and as Kate said, obviously reviewing those overheads regularly is key to keeping profitable. There aren't probably many businesses that would warrant full-time or even part-time IT maintenance, but I think that's down to personal choice, to be fair. We've actually over the years done both, so we have outsourced our IT, we have employed IT support, we now outsource our IT. I think it just gives us the ability to reach out to a wider spectrum of skills, so that if we've got lots of technology in the firm, which we have, we need that broadness to the skill base that we're dragging into the firm to help us. As much as one person can be excellent, they can only have the information in their head and the experiences that they bring, rather than the team of the IT support company that you adopt. So, yeah. So Making Tax Digital, just going to move on to that. It's not in the books because it would have been something that came to light after these were actually published. But hopefully you've all heard of that now. I'm just going to do a few slides on Making Tax Digital. We have done full seminars on the topic, which I think perhaps a few of you attended. So just to refresh, what is Making Tax Digital? So this is the revenues push to try and get businesses digitalising their accounting information, so that they're moving on basically from that paper-based or spreadsheet-based sort of method. Currently, it's affecting businesses that are VAT registered and have a turnover in excess of 85,000. So if you fall into that group, then you are in the Making Tax Digital regime. So what that would mean is that you would need to be using a digital software to produce your VAT returns. So something like Sage, Xero, QuickBooks, Free Agent would sort you through what you need to do. Why are they doing it? The VAT returns themselves aren't that exciting, and they've been getting those forever, and they're just going to be getting them exactly the same. All the boxes that you complete on a VAT return will just be delivered in. It's the same information to the revenue. It's simply coming from a digital platform. So this is very much stage one of where they want to get to. This bit is not that exciting from the revenues perspective. Where they're going with it is that they want to roll out, at the end of the process, quarterly financial reporting. So this is wider now. So we're not talking about just box numbers delivered quarterly on a VAT return. We're talking about performance. How is that business performing? What profits has it made in that quarter? And then they would look to assess tax quarterly and try and roll in some sort of real-time tax payments, so that the days of paying the tax 9 months after year end will drift away, and we'll all be earning and paying sort of in sync. How they're going to roll it in is not yet known. They are indicating that they're certainly not going to lose momentum with this. It is going to keep being pushed forward. But at the moment, the suggestion is that from the VAT perspective, people are in from April 19 if they're VAT registered and they've got the turnover 85,000, and anybody who's VAT registered and not over the 85,000 would have to comply by April 2020. But the guidelines on the timings are a little bit grey at the moment. We'll know more later on in the year, so we'll be able to give you some more information. but it's useful to know that this is where it's all heading. They want a real-time information sort of delivery through to the revenue, and it'll be interesting how they stage this, because obviously businesses will need to adjust their cash flow quite radically to get top side of tax payments, because currently we're very historic with the way that we pay it. Just flipping back a little bit to cloud-based accounting then. So how do you get yourself ready for this change on Making Tax Digital if you haven't already? If you haven't needed to, then there are still, obviously there is still time for you to change over, and I would recommend that you think about that sooner rather than later, perhaps coincide it with you next year end, so that you're benefiting as well from the change and bringing everything together onto a more streamlined system. The cloud-based systems are, without a doubt, the best to go with. There's some listed down the side there that we would see typically day to day. Our most used software by our clients is Xero. That's a cloud-based product. It's got a good price point. It's very functional. It's got a nice interface. The way you're using it it's not particularly accountant-led. It's not got lots of phrases in there that people wouldn't understand. The terminology that they're using within their software is very nice to use. There's bank feed functionality with all of those products. So if you've got an online banking system, which 95% of businesses have, you can link that into your software so that you're not doing data entry on bank transactions. That in itself is a massive time saver. The days of having your bookkeeper sat there on an afternoon just with the bank statements ready to type them through into Sage have gone, thankfully. It's complete, you just do not need to do that anymore. It's great if errors occur, because as an accountant we can log in and help our clients very easily. So it's cloud-based, so it can be seen from anywhere. We would have a user right, they would have user rights. We're all looking at the same screen and unravelling the issue that's going on in there. So it's really functional and easy to use from that perspective. If you haven't done anything yet on Making Tax Digital, we'll help you make some choices. If you'd like to talk to us, choose the right software for you, and it wouldn't always be Xero, but Xero is our preferred product, but we'd always look at what it is you're trying to achieve and which one suits best. We would help you to set that up correctly, to make sure that it's giving you the correct information on your reports, giving you some really useful information. Make sure that the systems that you're setting up save you time. The software has been used to its maximum ability really to save time within the office. Sometimes that can involve making your purchase ledger paperless. So some businesses, small consultancy type businesses, don't have a very big purchase ledger because they could typically just have expenses monthly, maybe mobile phone bills, things like that. But larger outlets with a busy supplier ledger, the receipt bank, which is a modular add-in to something like Xero, can scan invoices through to give you an image on the screen of a PDF of that supplier invoice, which would then import straight into Xero. So we would help getting that set up in the first instance, because it's all about the setup and that's the key part, getting it working well. But once it's working, the time that you save is really noticeable, because it can, you've not got lots of paper invoice files. Everything's on the screen, it attaches to the transaction, so you can very much get back to that at a later date with ease if you needed to. So these are the things that we would offer as part of our sort of onboarding service to try and get you digital and tick all that off really and get a really efficient solution for you. And the management reports that you get out of it at the end of the day, it's what it's really all about. Where are you? Where is this business at the moment, and what's it telling us? With many systems, as much as a spreadsheet can give a very complete record of perhaps bank and purchase activity, sales activity, it's not giving you that key information about whether you're actually profitable. away from Making Tax Digital now, and this one is in your book. So it's about websites. So it's just making sure that that website presentation that you've got on for your business is up to date, offering all the information that it needs to customers that are tapping into it. I think on the website, I'm just trying to see around the room, anyone here that does websites? Okay, chappy there. Sorry, I didn't know.
Alex from Acton Right.
Okay, Alex from Acton Right. So websites are obviously the key. We do it all day long. We're always on websites. The hit time on a typical site could only be sometimes less than 30 seconds, and then we come away as consumers and have already made our decision as to whether or not we like that website. So it's so instant, it needs to give the right message. So getting it right is really important. And on that website as well, if you're able to gather testimonials from your existing customers and put them through onto there, that just gives some gravity to what it is that you're trying to deliver. You do a good job then, and that you're happy with the service. At the point when you're sort of completing that, there's no better time than to just say, look, would you mind just a couple of sentences just for my website, just to say that you've enjoyed working with us and that you've been happy with the outcome. It can be such a powerful message to put onto your website. So I would encourage you to try and do that. Sometimes it can be a time thing. People are like, oh, I'd love to, yeah, I'll do it. Send me an email and I'll do it next week. And then sort of chasing that up can be quite difficult. So it's best done at the time. So if you can try and get some templates set up for your customers to use, then you probably get a better result on that. So yeah, put them on the website. If you've got any office space, then it's worth just dropping them into some pamphlet information, perhaps that you've got in any seating areas, or brochures. Having the original letters framed, you can do if you get a really good one.
What's a letter?
A letter, exactly. And maybe you wouldn't get that now. You'd probably get an email, which wouldn't look as nice framed, but yeah. Okay. There's just a few examples though. I think we all know what a testimonial looks like. Okay. Make sure on your website that contact us links actually work, and that the email that they're going to is being managed. I'm sure I'm not the only one that sent an email to contact us that you just don't get any response. And it's just literally a black hole. So they can be quite flooded sometimes with lots of spam, and again that's all about getting your IT set up correctly so that the key ones do land on the right person's inbox. Keep your home screen fresh, change it up a little bit. If you've got something topical going on in your industry or something that you're really trying to promote, then try and get that on there so that again it just gives that sort of freshness to it from somebody coming in. If you've got staff, bring them in. They're part of it. They need to be visual. They are alive and kicking. You've got location or building space, office space. Just put it on there. It just builds up that picture of, positioning really in the marketplace. I've put in there if you've traded over 10 years. That is quite a long time. I think it would warrant mentioning how long you have traded if it's of any number of years. Again, it just builds that credibility. Use video. So this is perhaps a bit more of a new concept. So things like YouTube. If you're doing a particular, you just want to basically tell customers what it is you do, then if you're brave enough to go behind camera, it can be massively powerful because people see a person and they get more of a feeling about what it is you do and how you're delivering it. Could be that you've done some work and you can visually show before and after, perhaps. That would work really well. We've got Zoe today from Blue Teapot who's filming at the back. I'm trying not to think about. Zoe does this sort of thing, so videos, photos of staff for your website, things like that, is what Zoe does with her business, so it's worth having a chat. create a mini library of customer video testimonials. If you've got customers that not only will give you a testimonial but will also go on video, then you've got some really good customers. But it's worth asking if you've got that type of person. Yeah, I would recommend you use a professional firm to do this, just to get a nice result, so it doesn't look sort of done cheap, if you like. Just finishing off then, value your customers. If you are engaging with somebody, a new firm, it's worth sending them a letter just to welcome them in. Let them know that that you've engaged with them and that they've got a contact point within the business. So it's really clear from the outset, how they can continue to connect with you. There's lots of templates online for this if you wanted to just try and grab a few. I think we've got some in the office as well if you're interested in us sending you a welcome letter template, we can do. Include your business card obviously in there just to give that sort of that final feed of information and something that can perhaps pass on to another business or another friend or family member if they've been pleased with the service that you've provided. Most new business will come from referrals, you'll know, so it's really key that we do love and look after clients and customers that we've got. And say thank you as well, so if you've completed a project or a piece of work for somebody or a business, it's worth just marking that, following up, making sure they were happy with everything, and perhaps putting an email out saying that obviously you look forward to dealing with them again in the future or something of that nature. If something's going on in your business that you think you've succeeded in, perhaps a new accreditation, maybe one of your members of staff has recently qualified, or you've just done some really good work that's marked in the local area, it's worth not shying away from the fact that it deserves some media attention. David Laister at the Telegraph, who we connect with quite regularly, is keen to hear from local businesses on achievements. So you could always put something together for him and he could review that for you. But getting out in the press is really important. If you've got charitable events or seminars or internal events even that you're doing on training, it's worth promoting those. The development of referrals will really come from the business that you're doing, obviously. So it's about the testimonials, about making sure that you feed back to your customers, and make sure you deliver that sort of full service all the way through to the end. That's all I've got to say really on mine. I'm going to let everyone have a short break now. I'm going to grab some more tea, coffee, and then I'm going to pass over to Mushtid. Thank you, everybody.
So I'm just going to briefly go through using LinkedIn and how to grow your business. Feel free to take notes on anything that you see that might be of interest that you might not already be doing already. But my business card is over there, so if you do have any questions, you can pop over to me, or if you once you start using LinkedIn you have any other questions, feel free to speak to me. So I'm sure all of you will be aware of LinkedIn, it's been around for many years, and millions of people are using it. But what I find is a lot of people are actually using it, so they kind of have a profile but kind of just let it sit. So is there anyone in the room actually use LinkedIn to kind of generate sales? Cool, that's great. So does anyone not know what LinkedIn is and never used it? No, that's fine. So I won't go through this because you already know what LinkedIn is. But it is basically a social network based on business professionals, and it's a great platform to kind of generate business, get brand awareness, and make really good quality business contacts. The first thing I'll go through is how to optimise your profile. So LinkedIn is, from what you look at it, looks like kind of like a CV. So LinkedIn can be used for recruitment and being headhunted, but it also is an amazing tool to generate sales. So if you are using it for that purpose, I'm just going to go through a couple of pointers on what can kind of make your profile stand out from other people, and then when people do come across your profile, they're really going to know who you are, what you're about, what your business is and how you can benefit them. So one thing is, it's a bit of a strange one but it's also a simple one, is adding a coloured border to your profile picture. So LinkedIn is becoming increasingly noisy in terms of people using it more and more and being more active. So what you really want to do is stand out from the crowd. So by adding a digital border over your profile headshot for when people do searches or when you come up onto their timeline, it'll really help you stand out. And you can do this on a free platform called Canva, so it's canva.com, or you can, if you've got a graphic designer or you know how to do this yourself, you can just add a coloured border. So I'd recommend using maybe your brand colours, so if you know what the Pantone of your colour is, or around, so say it's red, or you can just do any kind of colour that you want to kind of express your personality or what kind of business that you're in. So that's the first thing that we'd recommend. The second is optimising your profile headline. So your profile headline comes just underneath your name. It's automatically set to be what your current job role is and where you work. So for me, it would be marketing manager at Mush Digital. But you can optimise this and make it look a bit more savvy. So for the example here, we'd recommend it to kind of highlight how you can benefit someone's business. So, and showcase your skills. So for this example here, so this person's social media coach and trainer, inspiring, empowering and educating business owners to use social media more strategically. So there you already know what she is and how she's going to benefit your business. Then next what we'd encourage you to do is to optimise your profile summary. So this is something that comes underneath your picture and your headline. It's kind of a bit of a sales paragraph almost to kind of introduce who you are, what your business is and how you can benefit them. So the first paragraph is we'd recommend that you reiterate your purpose from your headline. The second paragraph would say is get more specific about the work that you do and the projects you've taken on and the results that you've gained from it, and also the companies that you work with and how you've helped them achieve the mission statement that you've set out in your header. Then the third paragraph we'd say to include a clear call to action that communicates why they should get in touch with you, so whether that be an email or a phone number. So next we're going to look at how to position yourself as an expert in your area. So what people find really hard is knowing what to post on LinkedIn. They always find that I want to be more active on it but I don't know what to post. So some of these pointers here include posting relevant popular content. So we'd recommend posting things that are related to your industry and what your business does. But it could be also about things that you're interested in, personal kind of things that you're interested in. So a great thing to use is Google. So you can just type in maybe, if you're working within the engineering sector, just type in engineering into Google, looking at the news page. There's also loads of different specialised sector websites. So for marketing, for example, for me, there's Marketing Week, Drum, Verge. So if you kind of do a bit of a research and find out some good news websites, if you just save them onto your browser, you can just look at them on a daily basis and find out what the top news is. And also you can use LinkedIn, the timeline from the connections that you're making to kind of see what's popular and what everyone else is talking about as well. Another thing is sharing your knowledge and expertise through hints and tips. And also showcasing cases and testimonials and results. So as Sarah was saying about, it's really great to get testimonials. So as well as displaying them on your website, I'd also recommend displaying them on LinkedIn as well. Because they're great things to use to kind of reiterate the points that you're making when you kind of sell into other business professionals, but showcase case studies and the results that you've got for clients. And also another one is asking questions to start a debate. So this sometimes can be a bit of a touchy one, but it depends on what you're going to start a debate on. Maybe not start a debate on Brexit or any controversial political issues, but anything that's kind of hot within your industry. It's a great way to kind of get discussion, make connections, have conversations and healthy conversations about business. So I'd really recommend that one. And how often to post. So people find that they struggle to know how often to post and when to post. So we would say at least once per week, but ideally once per day. So you kind of, if you're going to really hit hard on this and really want to kind of drive business and get sales, we recommend being active on there every day. I'm posting within business hours, and we find lunchtime is a hot time because that tends to be the time when people take a break and kind of scroll through the LinkedIn and look through the timeline. And also quality over quantity. So if you're finding it hard to kind of generate content and knowing what to post, we'd always say don't post anything if you can't think of anything interesting to say. So this is just a sample content plan that we've put together that you might want to use. So on Monday, you can post a relevant or industry news item. Tuesday, you can post a case study. Wednesday, you can share some knowledge, hints or tips. Thursday, you can ask a topical question that's relevant to our industry to start a debate. And Friday, we can post a case study again. So next, we're going to go through profile growth, so how to grow that profile and how to increase your connections and connect with more business professionals. So four types of people that we'd recommend that you connect with is finding and adding your previous and current clients as a first kind of port of call, because these are the people that are going to know who you are, be more likely to connect with you, and also it's going to help build up a connection, so when you post things they're probably going to be likely to interact with them because they know who you are. So future clients, so those in your pipeline, so you might have a CRM system or a list of kind of industries or particular businesses that you want to work with, and we'll go through how to search for them. People you meet networking and professionally, so if you pick up business cards or any type of contacts, we recommend that you connect with them. And then also, you can also import contacts from your Outlook, Hotmail, Gmail address book. So if you find that you're struggling to, if you've got a lot of contacts, you can just directly import them, and they'll use the emails from that LinkedIn account to connect with them. So the LinkedIn prospecting system. So this is a great system to use to kind of generate that business and get those connections. So the first thing that you need to do is to search for your ideal client. And LinkedIn has a great searching platform because LinkedIn is used for headhunting, so recruitment professionals use it to really filter in and find those people that they need for the job roles. But it's also a great platform for you guys to use to find your ideal client, basically. So you'll probably have a rough idea of the kind of industries that you work in and the kind of job roles for the people that you want to target, so whether that be managing director, an FD, an office manager. So LinkedIn has a great platform in that you can filter these down, so you can simply search, so say for example you're looking for a finance director, you can simply search finance director into the search head, and then you'll come up with a load of results of people that are finance directors and their job title. And then you can filter that down to location. So if you only work locally, you can filter that down to whether work Grimsby or Hull or Leeds or whatever. And you can also filter that by down industry. So if you are quite niche and you only work within particular industries, you can also do that as well. Then once you've found those people that you want to connect with, you simply just click connect, and you can send a follow-up sales message. So I've just come up with a simple connection text template that you can use when you're first connecting with someone. So sending a message to someone when you connect with them is always a better way in terms of them accepting, rather than just saying, I want to connect with you. So it just says hi and the name of the person, hope all is well. I'm currently looking to grow my professional network and came across your profile. Anyway, I thought it would be beneficial for us to connect. Looking forward to hearing from you. Thanks. Name Marika. So it's a great personalised message. You can simply copy and paste that and do that every time you want to connect with someone.
Marika, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Yeah, we often get ones that just sort of mentioned earlier, people just press the thing without, you can connect to, and you get that standard message, which kind of puts me off. How do you stand on that?
What, in terms of an automated?
I'd like you to join my professional network. That's it. There's no other contact with them. They've just found you on LinkedIn.
Well, this is why we recommend that you post this. So LinkedIn has that standard approach. So if they don't put this in, that is what would come up.
So what would you normally do if you received a message like that? Standard one.
It depends. I suppose I'd probably look at their profile and see if that is someone that you could potentially work with, whether that be them providing a service to you or you working with them. But then if it's someone that's irrelevant and you don't think that you'll be interested in hearing for what they have to say, then you can decline it. But yeah, it is a general consensus that people don't tend to send a personalised message. But I think it's always worth exploring to see who they are and whether they're just a spammer or.
I talked to somebody and he'd sent me a message just like that. He was over in Holland.
Yeah.
And So I rang him, and he was an accountant, and he said, oh, you've sent me a message, I don't think we've met. He says, oh no, I did that with software. So
Right.
a robot actually contacted me.
Right, okay.
So, okay, so we went down another estimation. But then I got talking to him, and I decided to meet him up, so we met up at the hotel. Now we connected, we met him. So if I hadn't connected to him,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have had that opportunity. But I just feel sometimes, because you see all those names that come down,
Yeah.
you can connect with Marika, oh yeah, connect.
Yeah.
And then it doesn't really mean much.
Yeah. Well, yeah, people find that they kind of rush to kind of fill up their connections, and then when they actually come to look at their timeline and stuff, they find that actually this person I don't need to connect with. Like, they'll have connected with them years and years ago when they just want to build up. But
So I
then
think a personal message is absolutely key.
yeah, so once they start actually using it properly, they find that a lot of the connections on there are actually irrelevant, and that they don't actually want to network with them, or they're not being relevant to their business. So you do find that people tend to filter them out, which you can do, so you can remove people, you can mute them so that you still look like you're connected, but you don't see them on the timeline. So it depends on how you want to work with it. But we'd recommend sending a message just like this, because it looks personalised, even though you have sent it out to multiple people.
Can I just say, Arnie, in reply to that, and if I accept LinkedIn, it always do a personal message from my PC, but my LinkedIn app, if you go to connect, always just sends that message. You can't personalise
You
it.
can, but you've got to, there's another click before you do it.
Mine just goes straight to send. I'll talk to you after.
Yeah.
So I was going
You
to
have
ask
to press
you
on
about
the
something.
three buttons and you get other options
Makes it difficult,
to
doesn't it?
include a message. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so we find that if you send a personalised message, people are more likely to connect with you because they know that you've not just gone connect, you've actually you've taken the time to actually write a message. So the next is, once they've connected, is to send a follow-up sales message. So we've come up with a few examples, I think it's about 4, and they've all got kind of different angles to them. So the first one is, hi, thanks for connecting, I hope you're well. Just a quick follow-up message to introduce business in there, and then we help target market, so you would put your target market in there to achieve benefit through feature. If this may be something you're interested in, I can send over further info. Thanks, Marika. So you're obviously not going to get everyone responding to you, but there are, if you're doing this on a regular, either daily or weekly basis, you might set a target to go like, right, I want to connect with 50 people, and maybe 30 or 40 might connect with you. You then send this message as a follow-up to kind of introduce what your business are and kind of intrigue them to look at your profile and actually see, yeah, this person might benefit me. So the next one has another different angle in that you're going to emphasise a recent testimonial that you have, to kind of provide evidence for what you're saying in terms of what you specialise in. So just a quick introduction, I specialise in benefit through feature, for example, and then you've got a recent testimonial. Would this be of interest? Let me know and I'll send further details across. So it's a really casual message, it's friendly, it's personable, it's not too salesy, and it kind of just leaves, it puts the ball in their court in terms of whether they want to message or send further details over.
You have to put the smiley in.
You don't have to. The next one is one where you can, in terms of a call to action, you can actually put your web address and insert humble brag in there.
What's a humble brag?
It's kind of like a USP really, or if there's something that you're particularly proud of in terms of what you've done for a client,
Oh, I see.
maybe you've increased sales by so much %, which will really draw them in and be like, that's intriguing. So thanks for connecting, I hope you're well. Just a quick introduction, we specialise in benefit and we, increase sales for a particular client by 100%. We have a product which may be of interest. If curious, all details can be found here. So it's not too salesy, it's kind of leaving the ball in their court for them to be able to fully explore who you are, and it gives them access to be able to see your whole company as a whole, and it also helps to increase your website traffic and people being able to showcase what you're about.